Hello, welcome to Chasing the Dream. I'm Ethan Chazen, a New York-based organization development coach, and I want to spend a little bit of time with you today talking about something that's been a passion of mine for the last 35 years, in which I dedicated about 10 years of research to. The culmination was me publishing my second book in 2018, and it started with a premise. 10 years prior to that, I started having this recurring idea, this recurring question in my mind of what is it about amazing organizations that enable them to be so successful over time, to outperform their competitors financially in all the markets they competed in. And so I decided after a period of time to research it. And I didn't realize the depth and breadth of that decade-long journey that I undertook, but it transcended over 200 countries. I drilled into over 7,000 organizations, and I was committed to this idea of what, if any, characteristics do all of the most successful organizations share? And over time, I coalesced and refined my search, and it ended up being that there was one characteristic, one quality that amongst everything else, all great organizations share that enables them to outperform financially their competitors. And it actually had, let me tell you what it didn't have anything to do with. It didn't have anything to do with their leadership team or country of origin or the products or services they offered. It didn't have anything to do with access to labor. It didn't have anything to do with supply chain considerations or optimizing efficiency. No. It had to do with one characteristic, one quality. And that led me to publish my second book, which is The Compassionate Organization. So you can tell by the title that the singular characteristic that enable all organizations to excel is their culture. And specifically what I discovered through my research and led me to actually want to write the book was that culture is how organizations treat their people. Now, ever since COVID, I have almost a daily set of conversations with business owners, entrepreneurs, senior executives, and they say, treating your people well, we get it. We understand the concept. It just doesn't move the needle. Organizations, their senior leadership team, their ownership, their boards don't care about the warm and fuzzy. Well, you know what? Put the warm and fuzzy aside for a moment. Let's talk about brass tacks. We know through decades of organizational behavior that all of the metrics indicate that when you treat your people with respect, civility, you enable them to take ownership of their work, to choose what they work on, when they work on it, where they work from, and who they work with. When you allow them to take ownership of the company, employee stock ownership programs, when you empower them, recognize, reward, coach, mentor them, a whole bunch of really measurable things have. And I've over 35 years developed a 10-step process called the Human Capital Audit, where I teach organizations how to measure quantifiably the impact of the reward you gain as an organization when you see this massive unleashing of employee untapped potential, the impact in terms of increased performance and productivity, which impacts your profitability. So here's how this works. You first of all start with your talent acquisition strategy. You fundamentally change everything you do in the kind of candidates you look for, where you look for them, how you go through the hiring process, how you bring them on board. But instead of hiring for job descriptions or a finite amount of roles and responsibilities, no. You change your track and you start to focus on hiring rock stars, people who have a proven track record of success with certain leadership skills, problem solving, critical thinking, team building, collaboration, intrinsically being motivated, caring about the community, a list of superhero characteristics. Then you teach them the job that you immediately need them to do, all the while focusing on, once they come into your organization, post onboard, delegating work to them, developing them, creating customized career and professional development programs for them, monitoring their performance, encouraging them. So everything that you do now is shifting your HR flow process so that you're finding the best people, you're bringing them in, you're unleashing their talent, you're measuring their performance. And how do you measure performance? This is where business owners and executives say, Ethan, treating our people well sounds great. We don't care. What we really care about is seeing a measurable spike in our profitability, here you go. An employee ROI is looking at each employee in your organization, whether they generate sales for you or not. Maybe they're in a back office role, doesn't matter. There's a way to look at the contribution that every employee makes. It's called their work output. So work output is the measurable, numbers-driven behaviors or actions that they achieve. And I know this because I'm certified on a process of measuring called 6 boxes. I'm also focused on coaching and mentoring. I'm a certified what's called Discovery Dimensions International process of coaching and training. And I'm also DISC certified. So I look at organizations in terms of teams and individuals and their personalities and their styles of interacting with each other. And we craft an employee experience in your organization to optimize their ability to contribute. And so once you start to measure the outputs of what they're currently doing through KPIs, goals, performance reviews, once you measure what they're actually doing, and then you measure the impact from training, developing, coaching them, the delta or the increase, you're now being able to quantify the return on each of your person's investment. Because what happens when your greatest lasting competitive advantage, your people, get burned out? They become disenfranchised. They don't think that your organization cares about them. They know that you don't live and breathe these supposed vision, mission, values you claim to ascribe to. They check out emotionally. Their work product drops. It's called silent quitting, but they've checked out the minute that they see, and this is mostly for the future leaders of workplaces, Gen Z and younger millennials. They check out. When your values don't match theirs, when you're not having a true, genuine relationship with them, they check out, their performance goes down, and then they look to leave. You may not like this, but it's the truth. And how do I know it? Because I researched it over a decade in over 200 countries. The greatest organizations, those who are able to achieve the longest standing financial performance, outperforming the markets they compete in, they have one attribute. They get this. They're pathologically aligned to focusing on their people. Look, you got 3 things that are going to move the needle on your business, especially if you're flatlining. If your growth is stalled, your revenue is kind of dissipated, you're losing clients. How do you kind of give that a jolt or a spark? You only have 3 levers to pull, right? As a C-suite executive or a senior thought leader in your organization, you got 3 options. Strategy. Strategies change constantly based on the vagaries of the markets you compete in. External factors hit you out of left field like a global pandemic. Strategy goes out the door. We know this, right? So, okay, strategy, put it over here. It's great that you have one. You're working off of it. Wonderful. Now you've got operational efficiency, your operations. So you're looking at your 3 Ps, your policies, your procedures, your processes. You squeeze as much operational efficiency, blood out of a stone as you can. You maximize your operational effectiveness, but that's only going to give you a finite short-term spike, and then you're going to flatline again. So where's the bump going to come? Where's it coming from? It's the 3rd lever that you can pull, your people. Now, here's how I know how organizations don't get it. And you got to change your mindset if you ascribe to this philosophy. Our people are assets. No, they're not. An asset is an accounting term that has nothing to do with human beings. An asset is something that you purchase for a measurable period of time. It depreciates over value consistently until you get to the point where it's not worth it to keep it, so you discard it. So organizations are still thinking about people as they exist on your financial statements, your balance sheet, your income statement. What I mean by that is people don't matter in that mindset. Your people are what you call headcount. Your people are your largest organizational expense, payroll. That is a loser mindset, and you deserve to fail if that's how you treat your people. Your people are a collection, get this, whether you're 5 employees or 100,000. Your people are an amalgam, a collection of experience, training, certifications, education, upbringing, values, cultural diversity. When you as an organization hire them to perform a job with, let's say, a few roles and responsibilities, you are significantly undervaluing You're getting underperformance. You're paying for a finite small amount of that individual employee's capabilities. What you want to do while they're in that role is figure out how to maximize their potential contribution to you and your organization. So there, I said it. You've got three levers: strategy. It's not a lasting differentiator. Operational efficiency. We expect you to do that with automation technology. You've got some tools in your toolkit, but it's not a lasting competitive gain. You're only one of the three levers to pull that are going to give you lasting competitive advantage and outperform your competitors financially are your people, if you choose to make that transformation. And that's what I do. I transform organizations in terms of their performance by focusing on that third lever, the people. Sure, I'm a business growth coach, so I have experience working with over 5,000 organizations, entrepreneurs, startups, family businesses, corporations, nonprofits, government entities. I've worked across the board, the full spectrum. And yes, I've worked on strategy, implementation, or transformation. I've worked on operational efficiency, but the lever that is the most impactful from a financial performance is your people. So it's time to start thinking that it's not a warm fuzzy to care about your employees. It's a lasting competitive strategy. And how do you do that? You focus on your existing workforce. You do a human capital audit. You take a snapshot right now in 2024. Do you, your organization, have the right people in the right roles right now? Then you survey your employees. How satisfied are they with your organization? Have they emotionally already checked out? You start to look at people's performance in terms of measuring all their outputs. You rethink your bench. Do you have the right people in leadership roles? Do you have business continuity and contingency planning and risk management around the people side? In other words, what if? What if this executive leaves? What if this executive retires? And you build out your bench of future leaders. You start to think day in and day out about developing personalized career and professional development plans for the people who you've identified as the future leaders. And for those people who are not capable of going with you as you transform your culture, you need to sever the relationship. For those people who you want on board, in fact, you've identified as future leaders, you need to have them engaged in the transformation process. And I'd be more than happy to talk you through this, but again, it is time finally in 2024 to stop ignoring your employees and thinking about them as a cost to be managed. The 20th century is gone. That was the era of managing. It's dead. The 21st century, because of all the component aspects of transformation societally, in terms of global competition, in terms of Gen Zs and millennials taking over the workplace, in terms of dealing with the repercussions of a global pandemic, that necessitates that we rethink the relationship of the employee-employer contract. It's shifted. The balance of power demands the 20th century command control pyramid gets flattened to a more matrix organization. Control is gone. You no longer manage or control your employees. You allow democratic participative ownership of the decision-making and choices that are made. And in order to do that, you have to rethink your workforce and shift from hiring people to perform jobs to hiring leaders with rock star capabilities. I'm here to tell you it works. I'm here to tell you it's the only lasting advantage that exists. I spent some time researching it over a decade. And if you'd like to have a conversation with me, reach out. You've got all my contact details. And if you like this video, by the way, drop a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and let's have a conversation about moving your organization into the 21st century. Thank you.